What's good, everybody? Welcome to LaFlare Radio. BT here with Hot Rod and Dee Greatest.
What's good? What's good?
We've got all the top stories in sports and hip-hop from the past week for you today. Starting off with the NBA. Quick review of some of the big games this week. We'll start with Cavaliers-Celtics. Cavaliers were able to pull off the win against the Celtics on Tuesday night, 102-99, despite a gruesome injury to the Celtics' Gordon Hayward. Dee Greatest, what were some of the things that you saw on Tuesday night?
You know, I did not see the NBA champion. I know that for a fact. Prayers to Gordon Hayward, man. That injury was gruesome. Like, the way his foot was looked, man, prayers for him. As we all know, he's done for the season. Does that mean the Celtics are done for the season? Not necessarily. I still feel like the Celtics are a playoff team. For the fact that Gordon's a wing is somewhat okay for the Celtics because they have two wings that are projected to produce really well, especially Jaylen Brown. As Stephen A. Smith said the other day, Jaylen Brown is coming. Jaylen was more aggressive than Kyrie. I mean, I thought Jaylen was like trying to come at LeBron. That obviously didn't work out in his favor because I know LeBron noticed as well. But, I was impressed with him. For a second year guy to come with that much intensity, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, pretty solid. Needs to work on that jumper, though. Needs to work on jumper and situation because he took a early 3 towards the end of the game. If he made it, went to overtime. But to me, it was not the right time for that. Kyrie had to force up a tough step back 3 because it was just no flow at that portion, of the game. Jason Tatum, I was expecting a little bit more. That first half was terrible. I mean, he was really bad that first half. But, he made up in the second half. Ended up with 14-10. I wanted to see him take some more threes. He only took 2, made 1. But, I feel like his future's still bright. It was just wrong team. Kyrie, 22-10, amazing. Amazing. For a first game impression, your first half to me was old Kyrie. Second half is what Kyrie was supposed to be. He was more of a true point that second half, and I respect that. Much more than the second game. But we're not talking about that right now. Going to the Cavs, isn't LeBron the best in the league, man? Is this man ever going to slow down? I mean, 29, 16, 9, 2 blocks, 12 for 19. I don't care about the 1 for 5 from 3 because he's not a 3-point shooter. What can you really say negative about LeBron? And before people even go anything, that Gordon Hayward play was not dirty. Nobody meant to undercut him to cause injury. So y'all can kill that. I'm just looking at the rest of the team, though. D Wade, 3 for 10, not shocked. Rose, 5 for 14. 14 points on 14 shots and 2 assists from your point guard. Yeah, he will be an amazing 6th man when Isaiah Thomas comes back. Because that's not winning the title. Jay, he can't play that 4. That 3 for 10, 1 for 5, only 5 rebounds. That's not productive, man. He had 11 points, but it was a bad 11. Jeff Green, 3 for 8 off the bench. Not cool with that. I still feel like JR should be starting. He had 10, outscored Wade, 4 for 7. Actually hit a 3. Out-rebounded Wade. He was a +7 while Wade was a 0. He fits that 5 better to me. He fits the system better to me. Play that, man.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. With the Celtics, one thing that sticks out to me, Al Horford, he only had 7 rebounds. He was out-rebounded by Marcus Smart. It's going to be tough for them going through the season if your center is out-rebounded by a bench guy, a bench backcourt guy. And then Jason Tatum had a great game. There are a lot of things that did look good for them, Jaylen Brown. So I think they'll be okay without Hayward, but they're still going to have a really hard time going through the season. On the Cavaliers side, yeah, LeBron looked as good as ever. You wouldn't even think that he had that ankle injury that held him back these last couple of weeks. You didn't see that at all. Maybe they will put JR back at the shooting guard eventually. But they're giving this a try right now. First couple games, it hasn't been, well, first game on Tuesday, it hasn't been perfect, but we'll see how they mesh going through the season. They got a pretty decent test tonight in the Bucks, though. So we'll see how that goes. Rod?
I agree with everything you guys said. I don't think the Celtics are a super lock to be in the playoffs now without Gordon Hayward. I think they'll still make it, but I think they'll be farther down in the seeding. Could be like a 6-7 seed now because of the injury. Yeah, they still have talent, but Hayward was such a big part of their team, and he was supposed to help Kyrie carry the load, and now Kyrie's going to be asked every single night to really carry this team. And, I mean, that's what he wanted. That's why he left Cleveland. So, I mean, we'll see if he could do that. And then on the Cavs side, they still have some figuring out to do, but it's easier to figure out things when you have the best player in the league. So they'll figure it out, and they'll be fine.
I mean, essentially, Kyrie's going to be asked to do exactly what Isaiah Thomas did last year. And we're just going to have to see if he can step up to that kind of challenge. But he got what he asked for.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
7th seed is kind of low, though. I don't see Boston going lower than 5th. Even, they're still an East team. They're still, on paper, better than a lot of teams in the East. The way that Brad Stevens coaches, the way that offense can flow, I still feel like they can handle a lot of these teams in the league. Well, a lot of teams in the East.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. It's going to be definitely more difficult on them, losing a lot of offense, decent defender. There's some teams in the East that could step up to that challenge. Moving on to the second game on Tuesday night, Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. Man, that was a shootout. Rockets ended up pulling it off 122 to 121. DG, I know you were watching the whole game. You had Facebook Live during halftime. What did you see between the two teams?
I think I saw the second round of the playoffs. I understand that goes with Houston dropping the 4th, but it's possible, man, because you just don't know what the Spurs, even though I had Houston ranked above the Spurs in the Western season review, it was more so with me thinking they have the same record, probably difference of a tiebreaker type deal. But Houston is the only team, to me, from top to bottom, that can score with Golden State. Because they're a three-point oriented team. Made 15 threes, 36%. That's okay. That's pretty cool. The Warriors made 16. I mean, at 53%, good God. But, we know the gods they are from three. And majority of that was Nick Young off the bench, 8 for 9, 6 for 7 from 3, 23 points. I mean, he was the leader scorer of the team. It was ridiculous. But we know Nick is not going 8 for 9 all the time. And with a performance like this and to still lose, kind of hurts. Steph was decent. 22, 8 for 18 ain't the greatest in the world. He has his games where he's not great at the three when it comes to percentages, but he makes them when it matters. So 3 for 9, I'm not concerned. 5 rebounds from a point guard, always got to love that. I wish he could put the assist up. I know him and Draymond share facilitation duties, but don't put too much on Dre. You're still a point guard. I know Dre can handle it, obviously, with his 13 assists, but you're the 2-time MVP. Sometimes you got to put the game in your hands. And looking at this L, although Draymond is an all-star defensive player of the year, we actually have to look at you and Durant. And looking at Durant, he was not aggressive enough to me. In 38 minutes, he only took 15 shots. Why do you have 7 assists? It should be Curry with 7 assists. I want to see more scoring from you. And the 8 turnovers is awful. So you didn't even have a plus assist turnover ratio. It's not like you, man. I appreciate the 4 blocks. I appreciate you playing defense. We've been asking for it. But I'm going to need 25 shots out of you. 20 to 25, even in this offense. Clay, 16 points. I mean, the 6 rebounds is cool. The two steals, 2 blocks, that's important for D. But I don't feel like he dominated his position at all, not tonight. I know James is a low, but there's been games where Golden State has held James in control. So I expect a little more from him. Going to the Rockets side, I like Chris Paul and James Harden together. 2 players combining for 21 assists. I've never seen nothing like that in my life, especially from a first game. That was beautiful. I love the offense. I'm not concerned with Chris Paul struggling to score, and then his knee was sore, so I understand the situation. But the basketball player, 11 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 steals. He even found a way to get a block. I loved it. I know some people still have concerns with him and James on the court, but to me, you have to. You have to, especially since it looks like they're playing an 8-man rotation. You got to make it work. And shout outs to the bench for Houston, man. Y'all dominated tonight.
Rod?
Yeah, the Rockets did a good job of coming back and pulling off the win that I didn't think they would able to pull off. One thing moving forward for the Rockets is how you just mentioned they have an 8-man rotation. I wonder if that's what they're going to play every night, because if that's what they do decide to play every night, that's going to take a toll on them later on in the season. I mean, having to go 82 games and playing in the West and playing fast every night, and most of these teams are up-tempo teams now, so you're playing fast and you're only playing 8 guys. That's going to be tough on those guys, especially like CP3 is getting a little older. Ariza's getting a little older too. And I mean, Harden is used to that because he's had to do that for 82 games the past couple of years. But will Chris Paul hold up? And he hasn't played in a fast-paced offense like D'Antoni's in his career, because he's always been in control of the tempo, like himself personally, when he was on the Clippers and the Hornets. Now that he's in D'Antoni's system, I wonder if he can hold up the whole season playing that fast with only 8 guys.
Moving over to Wednesday night, one game that stuck out to me, the 76ers and the Wizards ended up being quite the offensive shootout. Wizards pulled it off 120 to 115 off 28 points from John Wall. John Wall, 10 for 28 on field goals, though. What stuck out to you guys about that game?
Man, I like Philly. I like Philly long term. I know you mentioned, starting off with John Wall, but to me, when you shoot 28 shots and end up with 28 points, but only have 8 assists, that's not great from a point guard. He knows that. So for me, I mean, he had that crazy dunk, though. To me, he deserves a couple more points for that. That was ridiculous. But outside of that, it's not much to talk about because that's not the John Wall that we are looking for. That's not – people were pulling for John Wall to make a turn to go MVP mode, and that's not it. What I will say is these rookies can hoop. Ben Simmons was spectacular. 18, 10, and 5, 2 steals and a block. He's a man among boys. But, to me, him and Lonzo is hand in hand with the IQ thing. But Ben is probably above Lonzo in IQ because he's been in the league longer. He hasn't played longer, but just analyzing the game and understanding the speed, I'm sure that he's going to adapt better than Lonzo will. Markelle Fultz shouldn't be coming off the bench. Although, Jared Bayless kind of shuts me up a little bit because he was pretty productive. But Markelle Fultz, I liked his game a lot. 5 for 9. There's no second unit that could contain this man. I don't like the plus minus of him going negative 18, but just knowing what he can do, imagine it when he's with the starters, he fits. To me, he's going to be a better Jared Bayless. It's not that much they can't do that's much different, except Markelle Fultz just has more athleticism, kind of has more dog in him. And at this stage of his career, Markelle is going up while Jared's going down, so I expect the change to come ASAP. Joel Embiid played 27 minutes. A lot of people didn't think he was going to play that long because they were thinking about making a minute restriction of him playing in the teens, which Embiid called BS. But 18, 13, 3 assists. I don't like the 0 for 4 from 3. I don't like that. I know the 3-point is in this game, but to me, if you go 0 for 3 and you a center, get up out of there. But at the same time, there should be nobody in the East or in the league that should be able to guard this man in the post. Feel like he's just gonna dominate there. Robert Covington, what a game. 29, 9 for 15, 7 for 11, 7 rebounds. He's a sleeper. Like, a lot of people don't talk about Covington on the 76ers, but this is a guy that had a lot of love when Defensive Player of the Year voted in and got all defense consideration a lot. Like, I liked him when he was in Houston. I know he can play. So for him to get his just due, especially out the gate, I like it. I like it.
Hot Rod, the Heat have had a tough night the other night against the Magic. What's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, they had a big game from Hassan Whiteside. He had 26 points, 22 rebounds, but they couldn't overcome the Magic. The Magic played really well. They shot the ball better than them. The Heat, they're one of those teams that if the shot's not falling for them, they're not going to look good, but when the shot's falling, they look really good. So it was just one of those nights that their shots just weren't falling and the Magic shots were.
What about Olynyk starting at the 4? How's that been working out for the Heat?
I like it. With the league trending down, they're still already big with Whiteside, and they like it with James Johnson coming off the bench. So I don't mind the Kelly Olynyk move because he can shoot and he can handle the ball. Like, he played point guard before he grew as well, so he's good guard at mine. So I like the move, and it's sort of still like a figuring out time for them right now. The Magruder injury kind of hurt them because he was their starting small forward just based on like continuity and stuff. But throwing Josh Richardson in there and all these guys really playing for the first time together as a starting unit. So they're still sort of figuring things out there.
Now let's talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks taking it to the Celtics on Wednesday night, 108-100. But Giannis, 16 of his 37 points coming in the fourth quarter.
Man, I said Bucks was going to beat the Celtics in the playoffs before the injury. Now they definitely are if they meet up. They have no answer for Giannis. Giannis is starting his MVP campaign early. He wasn't my MVP, but I'm sure he's going to ruin my plans. Sorry, James. I mean, 37-13? Are you serious? I still don't know what position he is, but who cares? This man is a certified basketball player. He's unstoppable. I mean, from looking at what the rest of the team did, Dellavedova was pretty good off the bench. Greg Monroe did his thing in 17 minutes, 10 for 6. Looking at the starters outside of Brogdon, like, everybody else kind of disappointed. Tony Snell was his usual quiet self, 4 shots, 29 minutes. Thon, 14 minutes. So I know it was probably hard to get in the rhythm, but that's kind of disappointing for you just to have 2 points, 3 rebounds. To me, this was a game that Giannis willed. Especially being on the road, making noise. Shout outs to Giannis. But Celtics, starting off 0-2 is disappointing. Jaylen Brown, once again, that man, another 18, 5, 6 for 11 shooting. So he cut the aggressiveness down, but he brought his efficiency up. And that translated to the 3, cut the 3s down, 2 for 3 instead of going 2 for 9. That's well. For a sophomore to realize his mistakes and to switch up his game, but to still be productive on the next game, very impressive. And I believe Jalen was, only 20? Already got the mindset of a veteran. I like that. Jason Tatum, 8, 9. I'm surprised of how well of a rebounder Jason Tatum was. I didn't think that was going to come right out the gate. But since Al Horford don't feel like catching the board, you need somebody to do it, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I was say it's not like he has a choice.
Yeah, I know, right? Because Marcus Smart outboarded Al Horford again. Marcus Smart did it again. But I noticed Marcus Smart, they chose to put him in the starting lineup with the Gordon Hayward injury coming in. I like that for defensive purposes, Although I don't like them being small, obviously with Milwaukee, it's really tough to play small because with Giannis being the tallest player on that court, they have no answer for that. I feel like they need size in that paint to control that. But defensively, I like it for Marcus because he can definitely take out your 2 guard. Problem is with Milwaukee, they don't really have a 2 guard you need to take out. I mean, Chris Middleton, to me, I think he's running a 3, so that he doesn't qualify. Although 6 for 17, 15 is not great at all. But he got 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. So, to me that forgives. Come on, Al. Like how Hot Rod mentioned, you need to step it up. You need to step it up.
Moving over to Timberwolves Spurs. Spurs pulled off the win against the young T-Wolves 107-99, led by LaMarcus Aldridge, 25 points, 10 rebounds.
See, this is why I can't really consider Kawhi Leonard the MVP, because even dating back to last year, whenever he doesn't play, it seems like the Spurs always win. And that's not really helpful for someone that's really fighting for an MVP candidacy every season. Like, if you take LeBron away from the Cavs, I mean, they still have good players, but for some reason they just don't win. And that's a huge indicator on whether someone's like an MVP or not. And the Spurs seems to always win. And it doesn't matter who they play. It could be a good team, could be a bad team. When Kawhi Leonard's not in the game, they don't usually lose those games. And LaMarcus Aldridge just signed an extension, had a good game, 25 points, 10 rebounds. DeJounte Murray really impressed that game. He looks like he's going to take the reins from Tony Parker real soon. I love the Rudy Gay addition. He validated that move with 14 points off the bench. I think he's a big candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. And Kyle Anderson, I like him. I like them starting him over Gay because he's slow as heck, but he gets the job done. He's smart, basketball player, good defensively. You know what you're going to get from him. 12 points, 9 rebounds. Like, he's good. And he played point in high school and in college. So he's one of those guys that he's a bigger guy, but he has guard skills. So he's a pretty valuable player in today's NBA.
Jeremy Lin, in the Nets' loss on opening night, ruptured his patellar tendon and is likely going to be out for the season. Does this solidify the Nets as number 1 pick in the draft?
Not the way Phoenix is playing. Sheesh. But, it was really sad to see Jeremy Lin go down like that. As soon as he went down, he looked at the bench and was like, I'm done. It just broke into tears, man. It wasn't as gruesome as the Gordon Hayward injury, but to me that hurt me a little more because I just saw more emotion out of it. Gordon kept his composure. He felt the pain and all, but he recovered himself. Jeremy Lin, he took it as hard as him, losing his career. And that, I really hope it's not a career-threatening injury, man. But goodness, I see there's no defense with Brooklyn or Indiana. I know neither one of them are playoff teams, but God, it has some dignity. 131 to 140? Sheesh. But I do like D'Angelo. D'Angelo, what a start, man. What a start to your Brooklyn career. Give him hope. Give him hope for 4 years, 3 years down. 30 points, 12 for 22, 4 for 8 from 3. Do I smell efficiency? Where was that at in Los Angeles? Shout outs to you, man. 5 assists. Hey, with Jeremy Lin going down, you're going to have even more responsibility. I hope they will put Allen Crabbe in the starting lineup now because they need that two-way presence. Him going
Or LeVert.
12 for step. Karis LeVert?
Yeah, I like the LeVert move if they moved him into the starting lineup.
To me, he's better off coming off the bench because he's going to be more aggressive coming off the bench, and D'Angelo's going to have the ball in his hand a lot, so he needs somebody that's going to really match him. I mean, you could look at them from this game today. Tuesday, Allen Crabbe going 3 for 5, 2 for 3 from 3, doing the dirty work, as opposed to Karis going 5 for 15, 1 for 4. He had 4 assists, but that's going to be on D'Angelo now too. So I would go for the guy that's going to do what D'Angelo's not going to do on that position. Let Karis have that freedom off the bench. Let him go for that 6-man because, all they care about is scoring. Indiana, hey, shout outs to Oladipo, man. You making the best out of the OKC trade, and you finally got what you wanted of being the guy. Well, at least sharing it with Miles Turner, but the guy on the perimeter. You ain't gotta worry about that. And Miles, man, he's a lot of people not gonna talk about him as best big in the East. But to me, he can make a case. 21-14 actually plays. Shout outs to Miles. 4 blocks is wonderful. People think that Pacers are gonna fall completely off the map because Paul George is gone. Not necessarily true. Because Turner is gonna be a future All-Star in this league. Shout outs to Sabonis too, man. 7 for 7. Man, you play like that, 16, 7 rebounds. You play it like that, that could have kept you in OKC. I liked what I saw from that game offensively.
You mentioned how good of a start D'Angelo Russell had. I bet there's some Lakers fans watching Lonzo's performance last night, maybe wishing that they had him back. What do you think?
Man, I think D'Angelo didn't play Patrick Beverly. And Lonzo Beverly over there just shaking his head like, what's going on? Yeah, I called him Lonzo Beverly because that's Patrick Beverly's son right now. That's his son. He really got Patrick Beverly was like, I'm your father now. And that's exactly what happened, man.
Yeah, that was quite a game, though. Especially Blake Griffin showing the stroke.
Oh, Blake.
Going hard in the paint.
That's my guy. Hey, and during the preview show, I said it. People shouldn't sleep on the Clippers. I mean, last night, I don't know whether it was the Clippers showing out that well or if the Lakers are that bad. So we'll have to see moving forward. But the Clippers looked really good last night. And Blake Griffin looked really good too, shooting the ball and being sort of that guy that he was when Chris Paul went out and was a top 5 MVP candidate. So I really look forward to seeing more of that out of Blake and DeAndre with 24 rebounds as well. So DeAndre is still going to be DeAndre. And Teodosic looks really good in that pick and roll with those two guys. And Beverly, he's going to be Beverly. He's going to dog whoever is at point. And Lonzo got the first taste of that. So
BT mentioned the stroke. I saw a man in the paint. In the post, Blake was unguardable. He was ferocious. I mean, as Julius Randle, you didn't want no parts of Blake Griffin last night. 29-12, 12 for 23, dominant. That was a word that I didn't want to use for Blake because I haven't seen that his entire career. But to me, I know it was the first game of the season and all, but this was the best game I've ever seen from Blake in terms of not just production, but attitude, style of play. It looked easy. He looked polished, finally. It was effective. Him and DeAndre, 24 rebounds. Good God. 4 for 4 from the free throw line. What is going on here? I'm trying to tell people this, it is so hard to leave them off the playoffs, but them in Portland, to me, I just can't decide. But they play like this. I understand it's the Lakers. I got, Lakers are pretty low, but at the same time, it's not like they don't have players that can match Blake. Larry Nance got the athleticism to go with Blake, and it's not like he had a bad game. He had 14 and 12 himself. And Julius Randle off the bench, 4 for 8, so it's not like it was a complete team of trash. But at the same time, to establish yourself as just so much of a higher class, it really made me respect the Clippers last night.
Just real quick, going over Oklahoma City Thunder, really kicked the Knicks to the curb last night, 105-84. It took them a little bit to really get going. Westbrook recording his 80th career triple-double, 21, 10, and 16. Paul George leading the team with 28 points, 9 for 23, and Melo coming in with 22. Those three are looking really good together.
I say 2 of them look good together. I don't know if you've seen my live, but I said Westbrook and Paul George look like they're a perfect marriage. Melo, I will say, he had a better second half. Because that first half was terrible. That first half, he looked like he was doing a totally different offense. It looked like he was still in the Knicks. Everything was isolation still. Outside of him getting an open three from a broken play or something like that. He shot better than Paul George, in percentage wise, going 8 for 20 as opposed to PG going 9 for 23. But this is why you can't just pay attention to the box score fully. You got to actually watch the game. Paul George was better than Carmelo last night. Paul George. There's only one indication that could actually show that when the box score, and it's a stat that a lot of people hate, but to me, it's very important to me. That's plus minus. Melo was a 0. Paul George was a plus 23. That is a significant difference. And you can tell he matches with Westbrook well because Westbrook was a plus 29. Without looking at the box score, I personally thought Paul George was probably the best player on that team last night. But looking at the assists that Westbrook racked up and, this rebound I understand the situation. And, yeah, Westbrook was definitely the better player. But, I was surprised to see him take 12 shots. I mean, he went to the line 10 times. But with Westbrook, that usually doesn't matter. That was beautiful. He was a point guard yesterday. I loved it. And I loved how they used Steven Adams. And Steven Adams, to me, is crucial. I feel like that is a piece they cannot lose. Outside of that, the only thing I can say is get rid of Jeremy Grant and Raymond Felton. Y'all are ridiculous. On that fast break, I can't believe you jacked that open oop like that on live television. Why would y'all do that to yourselves, man? Why would y'all do that to yourselves? Y'all, that deserved a 1-game suspension for me. Rob, what did you see last night from the Knicks?
From the Knicks, saw Porzingis taking that next step. I mean, 31 points, 12 rebounds. He's going to be a tough hombre in this league. And Cantor's going to be okay starting next to him. He did a decent job starting and getting offensive boards and scoring. And that's it. Honestly, I didn't see anything else from the Knicks. They're going to have a rough season, but those two guys are going to take the next step. And Mr. $72 million, that good of a return. So he needs to step that up to really validate that contract. And not really much else from the Knicks.
I will say maybe I slept on Beasley, on his talent compared to LeBron and Kevin Durant, because he's shooting 100% of the season.
He got hurt.
I know, I was a joke. It was sarcasm.
Oh.
He was 1 for 1. But I felt bad for Beasley. He wanted this opportunity so bad in all seriousness. So I hope he's well. They need to play Hernan Gomez more. For me, a guy to be all rookie first team and only play 4 minutes. I understand Cantor is there, but come on, you can't do that. Especially if you're playing Doug McDermott 24 minutes, and Kyle Quinn 22. Maybe Quinn can keep his, but Doug? Oh, no. No, I don't care if he's the small forward. You play Hernan Gomez, and you got to find some sort of way to make that work.
Well, I think that'll do it for the NBA. Now moving over to the NFL. Navarro Bowman signed to the Raiders this week. And last night, Chiefs-Raiders, Thursday Night Football. Raiders made a huge comeback against the Chiefs, ended up pulling it off with the last-second touchdown. What a game. Rod, what did you see out of that game?
Well, I just saw that the Raiders, even though they've had a tough start to the season, they're still not out of that division. And the Chiefs, as hot as a start that they had, they're not that far from falling off either. That shows how tough that division is. And you really have to bring it each and every week because the Chiefs started out 5-0, and now they're 5-2. They're not even first in the conference anymore. The Steelers are due to the loss that they had to the Steelers last week. So the Chiefs really need to pick it up and really get back to what they were doing the first few weeks. And the Raiders, they're getting healthy again. I mean, Derek Carr missed the game due to that back injury, and he's back, and he's really looking like he's taking that next step into being an elite quarterback. I mean, we all know he's good, but games like that where you come back and win those tough games, that's what really puts you in the elite status. So it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, what a game for Derek Carr. 29 for 52, 417 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Everybody has been talking about Alex Smith these first couple of weeks. Well, I guess we're midway through the season now, but a lot of focus has been on Alex Smith. People have even been talking about MVP possibility. He had a good game, 25 for 36, 342, and 3 touchdowns, but Derek Carr certainly made his case, and Amari Cooper really making a comeback last night, 11 receptions, 210 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the Chiefs side, Tyreek Hill continues to play at a really high level. His speed is unparalleled. 6 receptions, 125, 1 touchdown. I saw a stat last night. 8 of his 16 touchdowns on the season were over 50 yards.
Yeah, he's so fast. It's ridiculous. He's one of those guys, if the ball's in his hands, he can score every time. So that's why they move him around. They put him at receiver, put him at running back, kick return, punt return, whatever. Like, you just have to find a way to get the ball in his hands, and he's a touchdown threat every time.
And Kareem Hunt, what a season he's had so far. But last night, the Raiders really did a good job at shutting him down. 16 carries for just 87 yards, but he still was able to achieve the accomplishment of being the second fastest player to reach 1,000 yards in their first 7 games.
That's my pick for Rookie of the Year.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear cut at this point.
That's easy.
Moving over to the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, what a loss for them. He broke his collarbone, and he'll be out for the rest of the season. He just had surgery these last couple of days. What do you think the outlook is on the rest of the season for the Packers? Are they completely done? Do they have any chance to salvage something out of the season?
It is over. Forget it. Aaron Rodgers was too important to that offense. Man, Aaron Rodgers won you games y'all should have lost for years. I know he had some slippage time for time, but the thing about Aaron, he always found a way. Without him, I know they have the talented receivers and all, but there's no quarterback that can replace that. I feel like the whole team is just going to drop dramatically. The only reason why I won't say they'll finish last in the division is because the Chicago Bears exist. But they still have a good chance. You know, going further on the NFC North, though, this is the perfect opportunity for Minnesota. You know, Minnesota, y'all can pull this off, man, because I'm sure nobody had y'all predicted winning the NFC North. I don't see Detroit getting their stuff together. To me, Matt has been disappointing, especially for that contract this season. And they just look like a typical Detroit team. So Minnesota, by default, should take this. For them to not get this division would be highly disappointing. And I would look at coaching first if this fails.
Moving over to another Chiefs game, the Steelers and Chiefs played on Sunday. And, man, Ben Roethlisberger really made a comeback from that absolutely abysmal game 2 weeks ago. 17 for 25, 252 yards, 1 touchdown. Le'Veon Bell was looking a lot better. 32 carries, 179 yards, and a touchdown. And Antonio Brown, 8 receptions, 155 yards, and 1 touchdown. Really a nice comeback for the Steelers. Steelers fans out there that might have been a little bit worried about the rest of the season, and with everything coming about Martavis Bryant asking for a trade, and things were looking pretty bad, but a major comeback for them. The Chiefs, last week, I was even starting to talk about the Chiefs being a possible Super Bowl competitor, and now they've lost 2 games in a row. They're going to have to do a little bit of coming up against that adversity. I still think that they can do it, but they've had they've had a couple of games where these Steelers and Raiders teams have really given them a run for their money. And Kareem Hunt, that game was held to just 21 yards, which is
Wow.
huge.
Very. I don't think this is going to hurt their Super Bowl chances. I mean, it's only 2 games. We can't go too crazy. Although I feel like this might hurt Alex Smith's MVP, case, because especially with the Raiders game, because that was a game he just flat out blown. To me, if you're going to be MVP in this league, you can't go scoreless in the fourth, especially when a team is rallying like that. That's a game you got to wrap up and establish yourself. To me, what Matt Ryan did last year, he had comebacks, he had solidifications, and to me, it was just no question if the Falcons were winning, they were going to win. I don't want to question that with the Chiefs, but it makes me look at Alex differently. Like, what can you do that will separate yourself for the rest of the contenders for that award? You know, the great start is good, but now you got the rest of the season. Now we know that you're beatable. What can you do to bounce back from this?
Adrian Peterson traded to the Cardinals last week. What a slow start for him with the Saints. He really didn't get the ball very much after going back and forth with Sean Payton game 1. But now that he's on the Cardinals, he really came out on Sunday and had a fantastic game. It looks like he's really found his place, and it's nice to see AP get back going again.
Oh, most definitely, man. I feel like this was such a perfect marriage for both teams that AP could mess around and save the season for the Cardinals. I feel like it's that huge. They're still in striking distance to get into the playoffs. I know there's a lot of 4-2 teams in the NFC, but at the same time, 3-3 is not that far away. 3-2 is right there as well. So I feel like they could come right back, get in, and then when David Johnson comes back, now let's look at Adrian Peterson again to see how you're going to handle a lack of touches once again. But
Yeah.
with this type of team, I would hope he will understand this time. I don't know. Maybe he was offended that a younger player was ahead of him, or I know the lack of offensive snaps was getting to him. But I think now that he's in a more of a veteran group, he'll be more accepting. But this was huge, and I'm so happy for AP because he deserved it.
Yeah, the stats, 26 carries for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. I agree that the Cardinals can make the playoffs, but that defensive secondary that is supposed to be elite needs to be elite. They need to step up, and that's what they're going to have if they're going to compete for that spot. Moving over to hip-hop now. Not a ton of news in hip-hop over the past week, but the first subject we'll cover, Uzi Vert and NBA YoungBoy announced yesterday that they have a collab coming. I think it should drop today, but there was a lot of ambiguity over it, so I'm not sure if it'll drop today or sometime next week. It's called Too Fast. DG, is that one that you're looking out for?
Not something that's gonna be on my bucket list to do, but I'm gonna check it out just because it's the wave. To me, it's a little odd pairing. I feel like Uzi is more so on the artist level as opposed to NBA YoungBoy, who's more about the streets. I don't even know how they met. So
I see that.
It's always good to expand your crowd, though. So for them to dabble in each other's world is gonna do nothing but make them more popular. So I hope it turns out well. I just don't see how musically it will work.
I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest. I never really saw those two together before, but I think that the contrast is going to be kind of cool. They're going to pair pretty well on a track. It'll be interesting to see, though, because I think it could go really good and it could go really bad.
Right.
YoungBoy, though, he is one of my favorite of these up-and-coming artists this year. A lot of the artists that have really broken out. He is definitely one of my favorites, as I said on one of the last shows. So to see him teaming up with a pretty established artist in Uzi Vert, it'll be interesting to see. Will the contrast in styles really bring out the best in YoungBoy? And will they get the right production on it to really bring the best out of both of them? I'll be really looking out for it.
No doubt.
Gucci came out with Mr. Davis last week, and I have to say it didn't disappoint. I can't exactly rave about it, but he definitely came in and did his thing. It was a little bit of a change up from the Gucci that we've come to know and love. He's not exactly going on there with that raw mentality that he did before. It's a little more honest and open, but still the same sort of style and flow that we've heard from Gucci before. A lot of tracks that are replayable. What did you think about the album, DG?
Very personal, very personal. I appreciate it, especially being married to his wife. So, that's pretty huge. I'm not a guy that likes seeing a lot of features on albums. And I know the lineup was crazy. For me, Gucci could have got deeper if it was more solo. But at the same time, it was entertaining. It was an entertaining album. I wouldn't call it classic. BT, you had a review and you labeled it a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree to that. It's just, to me, Gucci, like I kind of stated before, to me, I don't feel like he elevated himself. I know he changed his style up a little bit, but to me, he's still, Gucci. It's not somebody who, increased his quality per se, but it works. We rock with it, and we love Gucci so much. We're gonna love everything he does anyway. He's just one of those artists. So it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it's one of those albums where it's gonna elevate our view of Gucci. It's the same kind of stuff that we've been used to hearing, just a little bit more personal. The one track, Stunting Nothing, with Slim Jimmy and Young Dolph, was a standout track to me. Slim Jimmy, his delivery, it's not exactly what he says, but his delivery was pretty awesome. Dolph kind of brought the track down, I thought. Just his flow, it didn't really match with them very well at the end. But I could have done with less features too. The features really, I thought, underperformed in a big way. Big Sean wasn't really anything special on Changed. ASAP wasn't really anything special on Jumped Out the Whip. And, I mean, a lot of people really love Enormous with Ty Dolla $ign, but I'm not feeling that track as much as everybody else.
That track was trash.
See, that's what I thought too. And Ty Dolla $ign is great, but like I said on the review, I just think that sound is getting old. Ty Dolla $ign can only be done so many times on the hook, sounding the same before it gets old. So Schoolboy Q, though, on Little Story, I like that. I like Schoolboy Q a lot, and he's supposed to have a project coming later this year or early 2018. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for that. But overall, solid album, worth a listen. I don't know if I'm going to be listening to it, several times over the next couple of weeks. It didn't stand out like that to me, but definitely worth the listen.
Would you download it?
Yeah, I would download it.
Okay.
But I download a lot of stuff though, so that's not really giving it. That's not giving it too much.
I'm the exact opposite. I don't barely download anything.
One track that I just want to caution everyone to avoid is "Money Make You Handsome," because that track is so trash. It's just garbage. He tried to do this singing thing on there, and it wasn't. It was like a screechy, I don't know. And then just like the subject of the song, he's got this sugar daddy kind of vibe thing going. It just wasn't enjoyable. It was terrible. So when you get to track 8, you can go ahead and skip that. That'd be really good for you. So our next subject, Wiz Khalifa. This is a big moment for him. He's sort of fallen back with all the new artists, and he just announced that he's coming out with Rolling Papers 2 soon.
Ooh.
It's supposedly done, and he hasn't released a date, but it's looking like it's going to come before the end of the year. And if he can get on there and sound, bring some of that old sound back, I think a lot of people are really looking for that. He announced that before the album, though, he's got a tape Laugh Now, Fly Later, coming out on November 10th.
Oh, that's getting downloaded instantly. I'm not even gonna listen to it. I'm downloading. I'm For people that don't know me too well, Wiz was my guy in high school. Like throughout, How Fly with Currency was my joint. To me, that's still my favorite mixtape of all time. And ever since then, I follow Wiz. I mean, I knew Currency before that because, following him when he was with Cash Money. But I went from being a guy that respected Currency to being a guy that loved Wiz Khalifa. I'm not going to use that F word, fan. But if I was a fan of anybody, it would be Wiz. I hated his last album, though. Oh, my God. It's like what you said. Eventually, you get tired of the same sound over and over. And Wiz, how many more times can you talk about weed? I know you ain't going to change. But I'm going to always listen to you because you got a special place for me, So I'm going to download it, keep it for like 3 weeks just to support. And if I don't like it, I'll take it off. But, I expect Wiz to come back strong. I mean,
yeah.
He'll never be like see you again high. But to me, he just got a lot of talent that he doesn't use a lot, just because he wants to stick to what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
But if he really used it, he would definitely be one of these top artists.
I mean, you look at the discography, and it's impressive. People don't give him enough credit.
Not at all. Not at all.
I mean, even if you go all the way back to Flight School, Deal or No Deal, those were both awesome tapes.
Prince of the City 2.
Prince of the City 2. And then he started to evolve more. Rolling Papers was really a big coming out album for him. It's what put a lot of people on that weren't listening before. I was listening back in Flight School, but then after Rolling Papers, ONIFC, Black Hollywood. But since Black Hollywood, he hasn't really put out a lot of stuff that I've been excited about.
Yeah, I agree with that. To me, he's been stagnant. To me, he's been more comfortable. But, a lot of things going on in his life where he really can't just focus on the craft. And none of us better forget about Cushion Orange Juice. That was probably his best weed tape.
True.
So you can't forget about Kush. That's the OG classic for real. But yeah, I'm glad he found time. And I really hope he really sat in the studio as opposed to just putting something out because the fans wanted it. I hope him and Chevy Woods are rolling something up, writing some dope lyrics while Burner is somewhere not writing lyrics. And they just coming up with great music because Wiz definitely can.
Yeah. I've seen Wiz in concert a few times, and he's a great performer too. But yeah, they got to hide Burner. Put him back somewhere.
Ooh, he's burnt.
Oh my goodness.
Get away.
He can't like I've seen him come out at the concert and try to get people going as like one of the opening acts. Whew. That guy. He's a little rough, man. I mean, I know you want to put your people on, but yeah.
You got to realize it ain't happening.
Yeah.
Burner had a track with, I think, Chris Brown, Big Crit, and somebody else that was big. And it still can't get put on. I'm not listening to anything that has the word Burner attached to it.
But November 10th, Laugh Now, Fly Later. Hopefully this is a pretty big comeback tape for Wiz, and then we'll be looking out for the album later this year. Quavo says Culture 2 is near finished, and they've got the single coming soon. After the first album, a lot of people highly anticipating this.
Oh, yeah, Migos is the hottest thing in the game right now. If it's not them, it's Cardi B, which is basically them because she's with Offset. Oh, man, I'm not gonna lie, I can't wait either because out of all these new school artists with the, more, the style that I'm not really connected with, but that everybody else loves, so I try to pay attention to, Migos is my favorite because these guys honestly can actually rap. If you actually understand what they're saying, they actually can rap, but they're catchy as hell. And their production is always elite. Like, I'm still bumping Too Hottie. I'm bumping that for the rest of the year. That's my joint. So I cannot wait for Culture 2. I feel like it's going to be more hits, more hits, more money. I know they like that.
I agree. I think it's going to be substantially bigger than the first Culture. I think that there were still some people that were coming on to it when Culture came out. And now everybody knows that Migos is here and they're here to stay. They're at the top of the game right now, so I'd like to see them ride this momentum into, this is their time to put out that classic album that puts them on there.
I was just gonna ask you, do you think that will eventually become an all-time hip hop group, all-time great hip hop group?
I think that they're on the way to doing that. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and this next album is like the first step of that. Another thing is this wave of hip hop that we're in right now is really different. And my question is, how long is it gonna last?
Hopefully not too long.
I'm saying the same thing. They're kind of the leaders of this wave.
True.
I'm not gonna say it in a way as if they're responsible for some of the trash that we hear, because I don't think they're responsible for that. But when I say they're the leaders, like, they are really them and artists like Young Thug, Travis Scott. They're defining this sound for everybody.
Honestly, Chief Keef as well. A lot of these young guys were listening to Chief Keef. And, we talk about lyrical ability with these guys, and I get that. But think about the artists that they grew up listening to, like the names we just said. These are not lyricists. So, of course, the game is going to get watered down from that part, but there's more emphasis on flow and production, which is great for the producers. It don't match me well, but at the same time, you got to follow it. My thing with Migos is, you might disagree, but I feel like they can even last the next era. I feel like they got the talent to match. And I feel like they just going to have so much respect. They're going to be on that Gucci level where they can put anything out and they will always get a listen.
I agree with that. And when you come out of Atlanta, the fan base that you have behind you, Atlanta supports theirs.
Absolutely.
And that's going to help them ride into that too. But I agree. I think they have the versatility to make it through the next wave. I think that this album, though, after this album, we'll be able to answer that question a lot easier. Post Malone and 21 Savage get their first #1 song with Rockstar. DG, my question to you is, now that they got their #1, and this is a separate question for both Post and 21, will they be able to get another one? Or are they just hot this year?
Post will probably have a better chance than 21 because of the market that he's in as opposed to 21's. I like 21 more than Post. A lot more. Like a lot more. I feel like people really don't give 21 credit for the type of music that he makes. I know he fits this new wave. He does. But he has some song content that is real. Like, he's not just about killing people. He's a lot of it. But it's times, like, the track Nothing New, if you listen to it, he is for us. Like, he does understand the culture and wants to be different. And he strives to grow. He gets criticized for songs like FaceTime. But I'm like, he been making songs for women even before that. It was just in a more gangster way. But, he's an artist now. He's trying to stay out the streets. I don't feel like they're going to give him the proper justice, so he's not going to get there. But that It's an album. Y'all, I will definitely listen to it. I liked it a lot. Post, though, I feel like he's getting to a point where he's getting to that pop lane, And when you're pop, #1 is like, clockwork. It's much easier for a pop artist to go #1 than it is for a hip-hop artist.
Yeah.
And I don't see 21 going pop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he might as well after that slut walk thing. I can't defend him for that. I'd be damned if I hold up a sign talking about I'm a hoe too.
Oh, man.
Excuse me. Anyway, Post definitely got a chance to make more than 2. He probably could rack them up, but I feel like Post is eventually going to get away from that hip-hop lane. I mean, it's not like White Iverson was a track he was rapping on anyway. It was that little sing-song crap that that influence is all over this era. But you know, it's gonna be a point where he's just gonna cater to the pop. So hey, shout outs to him.
I'll tell you what, I like Post a lot. And the reason I like him is because it's just so his own sound. And there's so many artists, like you saw him get on with 21 here and pair well and put out a #1 track. How many other hip hop artists could he get on a track with and just put out an outstanding piece of work with him on the hook and an artist putting out verses? I honestly didn't think 21 came in on Rockstar and did anything really that special. It was the hook that I thought really carried it. Not to say that it was a bad, like it wasn't good, but
He was just there.
yeah. And I thought there were a lot of artists that could have gone in on that track and done even better than him.
I agree with that.
So for 21, people really didn't expect anything out of this guy until he came out with Issa. And that was just such a great album from him. It really put him on. He had a couple of tracks this last year that brought him into the space, and then that's the album that put him on. For him, it's going to be this, whatever his next project is, whether it's a tape or another album, that's what's really going to give us an idea of if he's here to stay or if he's here and gone. This whole thing with Amber Rose, though, I don't think is helping him.
Hell no.
You see famous people pair up, and a lot of the times it's a power couple. In this case, I don't think it is. Amber Rose is dragging this dude around like he's a toy, and he's letting her do it. When she was with other guys, it was the opposite. And now it's kind of like, I feel like she likes having that power because she hasn't experienced it in a relationship like that before. And she's just enjoying parading this guy around.
Oh yeah. Where's the Savage at? I was really close to calling him 21 sucker, but I know he's not a sucker, man. I'm not gonna disrespect 21. I just want you to snap out of it, bro.
Yes.
Like, come on, bro. Like, you gotta. You know what? I would not tell a man what he's supposed to do in his relationship.
True.
I'm gonna take it back. Just know we looking at you funny, bruh.
Yeah.
But hey, at least you're not like married to the game. You ain't like that dude. So as long as you go that far, I'm with you.
Yo, I just don't want what happened to Tyga to happen to this guy. Because say what you want about Tyga, he was putting out good music. And then he gets with Kylie, and ever since then, man, woo.
Man, Tyga was lucky. He had 2 songs worth craving for, man. Lap Dance and Rack City, because he always been trash. Look, Tyga's always been trash, awful, horrible, horrendous,
Man.
pathetic. Ugh, all the above and below.
Man, I'm disagreeing. I think that I'm not saying he was anything really special, but you look at the artists now that are hot, and Tyga was better than them. He was dropping better bars than they do. And at the time, you know, it fit. And Cash Money was hot, and he put out a couple of decent projects. He had some good songs, and he had some really good remixes that I felt like people slept on.
Like?
Man, that was 8 years ago. So
I guess I'm going to stay asleep.
But I don't know. It's hard for me to just bring him out right now, just from the top of my head, but I'm just want to give the man a little bit of credit because I felt like he was a decent artist until he got in that relationship, and ever since then, the music just hasn't been there.
Hey, I'm just saying, when Drake and Wayne cut him off of the motto, nobody missed his verse.
Okay. All right. I see that. So, our last topic, and then we'll get to the 3 albums that dropped this past week. 1 featuring Young Thug, Super Slimy last night. But first, I know that this was a subject that you specifically want to talk about, DG. Waka Flocka this past week was on Sway in the Morning, and he said that he's not black. He doesn't look at himself as black or African American.
Okay, I've heard so many sides to this. And with a lot of time to think, this is what I feel. I understand what he was trying to say, although he said it very poorly. You know, Africans did not come as slaves over here as African Americans. You know, we all, Africans had their own tribes and they were all different cultures, and I get that. You don't want to be labeled. He said he don't want to be labeled as a color because the word black, like if you look at what they consider black people, 99.9% of us are not what the color black is. Like, look at my skin. I'm not black. I'm technically brown, so he don't want to be labeled as a color. I get that. He went deep into his roots and ancestors to see if where his ancestors from, and he felt like his ancestors, or he thinks he discovered that his ancestors weren't from Africa. I think he called himself some sort of Indian descent. I get that, but I just ask, why why do some black people have a hard time with being black? Like, what's wrong with just saying you're black? I understand the labels that been given us, but when we were grouped together, think about how much we strived together, how much we worked for, how much we sacrificed and overcame and changed. I would love to be a part of that label because to me, when you call yourself a black man, that is a symbol of resilience. That's a symbol of, you know, overcoming, surviving, strength. We've been through hell in this country and we found a way to stick together. I know there's blacks, I know there's people from Jamaica, Africa, Haiti, Puerto Rico, maybe some in the Middle East, France, that we all have similar skin tones, but we're so different in culture. We don't call each other that, and they group us as black, and we might be totally different from each other. But at the same time, like, since they do it, I look into what y'all are, and I love you all like you are my own. I don't want to separate myself from black people, or people that are labeled as black. I want to be able to call a Jamaican and a Haitian my brother, even though they're from the islands and I'm not. I would love to call a person of a darker skin tone from Africa my brother. And, the way that we see each other is different. Don't act like just because we're from different places that we don't have a certain comfortability. Because a lot of black people say when they get to Africa, they feel like they went home. They feel so open and all the information. Well, who are you getting it from? If you be real with yourself, it's your people. Flocka, you know, I try so hard to say that you not tripping, but you tripping. I'm not gonna go so far as say it's self hate, but you said yourself you're miseducated and confused. My brother, you're confused. I know you look at what's behind you in history, but look at what you lived through. Look at who your homies or have been. Look at who your real friends been. Look at who raised you, and look at the outlet that you're at. Look at the people who supported you, black, and accepted you as their own. What's wrong with that? I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, I mean that's real, and I definitely can agree with what you're saying. Obviously, I don't really have an opinion about that because I'm not black and I don't really know what it would be like, but I can see how there's a balance between recognizing where you come from and your culture and your roots, and also recognize what you're going through, what you go through on a daily basis, what you're going up against, and the fact that there's this group of people that goes well beyond what your specific heritage is that go through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So moving on to the albums that came out this past week, I just want to touch on a couple real quick before we get to Super Slimy. Wu-Tang came out with a highly anticipated album last week, The Saga Returns, and it was pretty good. I thought that it stuck out to me. They're still doing their thing, still dropping some great bars, heavy lyricism. I just like the change up from, today's music. It takes me back a little bit to listening to Wu-Tang when I was younger, because I really got into them when I was first getting into hip hop, listening back to some of the old tapes.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, yeah. And it brought me back. It was definitely worth the listen. I'd say if there was ever a time where you enjoyed Wu-Tang, it's worth at least checking it out and listening.
On the top of your head, can you name all the members?
No, definitely not.
Let me try. Let's see. RZA, Jizza, Ghostface Killer, Raekwon the Chef, ODB, Method Man, You God, Spec the Deck. I think that's 8. Some people say Capadonna. I'm not too sure. I feel like I'm missing one. I feel like I'm missing one. But I got to 9. So, hey, good enough for me. Oh, Meth. Did I say Meth?
I don't think so.
Oh, God. Of all people to miss, Meth. So, yeah, I think I got them all now.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm happy for Wu, man. They've been going through a lot of issues with each other. I had the opportunity to see Ghostface and Raekwon at Rock the Bells. I saw them perform, and I saw Meth perform as well in a separate act. They came in with each other and integrated a little bit, so it's pretty cool. They've been through a lot with each other, a lot of breakups, a lot of beefs inside Killer Bees situations. I used to like Shaheem a lot, and his beef with Raekwon, I believe they had a little something into it with. I'm glad they found a way to still do music, because a lot of them want to go their own alleys, and that happens with growth.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm gonna give Wu a chance, because I love me some 8 Chambers, bro.
I would really like to hear that album that Shkreli bought from him that he refuses to put out.
That sucker.
That guy is, whew, words I can't say, man.
Shit, the words that I have said already, I know the industry gonna hate me when I get on, but I don't care. I'm challenging Charlamagne for that Prince of Pissing People Off title. I'm trying to get to it, Charlamagne. I'm coming for it. In fact, no, I'm trying to be the king.
Hey,
Hey, I'm raw. It's filthy,
I think
man.
you'd be better than Charlamagne. Charlamagne says some stuff sometimes that just don't be making sense. At least what you say might have some people heated, but it's got some grounds to it.
Man, I love Charlamagne. Charlamagne, to me, I understand exactly where he comes from. He's real, man.
Yeah.
I don't agree with everything he say, but that's a small majority. I mean, that's a small thing, amount of things that I disagree with, because he real and he come through for the black people, And I respect what he's trying to go for his route. And if I ever wanted to do radio as opposed to actually doing music, I want to be just like Charlamagne, man.
All right,
I
I
would
see
love
that.
to have him as a mentor.
One more. Hustle Gang came out with the We Want Smoke album featuring some top artists. Well, used to be top artists like Young Dro, B.O.B., T.I. I got mad respect for T.I. When he puts something out, I give it a listen. Hustle Gang, the albums that they put out have been consistently average. It's not trash. If you were into Hustle Gang when they were really hot, it's something I think you would still be into. If you weren't into Hustle Gang, then you're not going to listen to this and be into this, because it's pretty much the same stuff that they put out in the past. It was okay. It was all right. And it's enough to keep them at the same level that they were, I guess, before they put the album out. But they're falling off for the most part. T.I.'s prolonged his career a long time, and I'd say we're sort of at the end of it now.
We've been at the end of it for a couple of years now, bro. He won't give it up. Honestly, I know you about to disagree, but if you want me to be real, T.I. ain't always been overrated to me.
You think so?
I highly think so. Hustle Gang, they not special to me at all. I like Young Dro.
That's
Back-
it, huh?
Yeah, back when they had like the Grand Hustle thing going. Anyway, to be honest, the guy I was looking at spitting wise was Big Country King.
Yeah.
I thought he was pretty dope.
Yeah.
I feel like he killed that ASAP remix. Now I do love that ASAP track T.I. put out. T.I. has songs where it's just hot and you gotta respect. But to me, since You Don't Know Me, I haven't really liked any songs since then. Like, not loved.
Really?
Not loved.
What album was that on? Was that on King?
No. That was a great album, though. I will say that. To me, that was T.I.'s last great album. I don't love Paper Trail as much as everybody else.
Well, Ti versus Tip was pretty good.
Hell no, it wasn't.
What?
That was one of T.I.'s worst albums ever. Are you serious? That album was, and I bought that, and I bought one T.I. album.
All right.
And of all the albums that I bought,
All right.
you
I'm
don't know me was
looking
on
at it.
Urban Legend.
I'm looking at it, and I see what you're saying.
Man, T.I. versus T.I.
Paper Trail was such a classic, though.
It was first time, I would say, and for the era that we in now compared to what music is now, yeah, I can see why you would say so. And I cannot say something is not a classic if the general consensus says it's a classic, because hip hop is bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
At least I know that. But for me personally, I'm not keeping it. I respect it, but I'm not going to keep it.
That's fair.
But T.I., if are we talking about him as an impact or as artists in general when it comes to talent? Because to me, if we're going by talent, T.I. was never king of the South. He was better than who he's going against when it comes to Little Flip, but to me, he was never better than Ludacris. A lot of people disagree with that, but a lot of people don't know how good Ludacris is. And they actually got into it lyrically, and Ludacris smacked him. So that should go for right there. But
I'll tell you what, I agree. I think
whoa,
I would put.
Yes,
I
I'm
would
talking
put,
about BT. That's why I rocks with you,
I
BT.
know about Luda, man,
I rocks with
and
you.
I would put Luda above Ti. I respect Ti for what he is, man, and I like his delivery. Just something about it, like the way
Oh yeah,
it just feels so raw. I don't know. I enjoy it. Trouble Man, Heavy as a Head, I think was his last good album. That was back in 2012.
right.
I thought he had some really good tracks on there, and not the tracks that were really big, like Go Get It and Ball with Lil Wayne. A lot of the other songs on there I thought were really good. But yeah, I think we're pretty much past the time of T.I. and Hustle Gang or Grand Hustle or anything like that. Another artist in there, B.O.B., man. I used to love B.O.B.
Whoa, man, the fall off was real.
Yes. I don't know what happened with this man. He must have been into some heavy drugs or something, bro. But he fell off so hard. He had that first album that was really good, The Adventures of Bobby Ray. He had Strange Clouds, which was even better. Underground Luxury was just outstanding, I thought. And then after that, whew.
Where'd you go, Bob?
I don't know, man. And it's not that he hasn't put out a lot of music. He's put out a lot of music since then. Just that none of it
And no hit.
has any real appeal.
Yeah.
And I've given it a shot. I've listened to it, but it's just not what it used to be. Now is the time, what I've been waiting for the whole show to talk about. Future and Young Thug team up out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Nobody knew this was coming. Team up and drop Super Slimy
Super slimy.
last night. First off, the artwork is dope. Like, whoever did that, whoever put that together, that's nice. Real nice. Talking about the actual music, they slid, man. It's everything I would want it to be. What did you think?
I enjoyed their solo tracks more than their tracks featuring each other, to tell you the truth. My favorite songs was Killed Before, which I'm going to listen to when I leave. I'm going to listen to Killed Before about 5 times now. For the Gang, Feed Me Dope, and Cruise Ship. Those were my 4 favorites.
Cruise Ship was good. I liked Cruise Ship.
You know, I know a lot of people are going to play, what is that, Patek Water?
I feel like they'll play it just because of Offset. But
Exactly.
it didn't really stick out. That one didn't stick out to me.
It didn't either. A lot of these songs ended too early. They kind of ended awkwardly. So I couldn't be able to enjoy the track too much. Like, looking at the list, some of these songs are not more than 3 minutes. Or some of them just barely ends at 3:0 something. Like,
Well, when you put it all together, 13 songs for only 41 minutes. That's pretty fast.
exactly. But when I'm on an album, that's not enough time for me to enjoy it.
Uh-huh.
See, the let's say for example, let's talk about 2088 in their album. Like it was small, but not because of song length, but just for the amount of songs that were released. It was a 30-minute plus type of idea, but the songs ended on time and nothing dragged and nothing was too quick. You actually could get the full story of it, as opposed to Super Slimy, where I was enjoying No Cap and then kind of ended. I'm like, wait, whoa, hold on, what's going on? And then more songs just cut off weird. Like I don't know, but agree or disagree, Young Thug outperformed the Future.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing that really stuck out to me because I'm a Future guy way before I'm a Young Thug guy.
Same.
And I still respect Young Thug for what he is, and he's put out some good stuff. But I think about what this project is, and it's good. And I think about what it could have been if Future would have slid like I've known him to do before. And it's a little disappointing. Like, Young Thug majorly outperformed Future on this one.
Oh, yeah, it's not even close to me. I say I prefer Future over Young Thug, but let me clarify myself a little bit. I'm not a major Future guy. I just like him. I don't think this was a great project or a good project. I think it was decent. It's cool. It's good for now. Next month is going to be cool. December, you might get some plays for certain tracks. January, I don't think we're talking about this. Future, he's at the point where I'm getting tired of him. Like, he's starting to be the same all over. And now his delivery's getting lazy. Sometimes he's offbeat, and he's not even catchy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
His last two albums, like, I wish I could just take the best songs from both albums and put them together. You know, because I don't think one disc was like a great disc. And now I'm looking at it now, like, even at 13, what was really hard to listen to, Group Home, his voice just sounded awful. Like he was sick or something. He just said, F it. They gonna bump it because of the music anyway. They don't care how I say it, so let me do it. Man, I'm at a point where I feel like, I guess because I'm getting more mature with my life, I got a beautiful woman and 2 kids in my life now, and I feel like I'm maturing more than the artist that I'm listening to, so now I'm starting to strive away from it. So I want to see artists that will grow with me as well.
Yeah.
Future is not on that.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that about his albums earlier this year, because people were toting them like they were something really, really special, and when you put them all together, there's only a handful of really good tracks on those albums. So I agree. I think that Future's time is kind of up. I think he's lucky that him and Young Thug came together on this collab. I don't know, though. I don't know if this is going to be as short-lived as you think. I think you got to listen through maybe one more time or a couple more times. I could see this going for a while. I had somebody tell me this morning, and I don't agree with this, but I know that there are going to be people that are going to try to argue this. He thinks it's better than What a Time to Be Alive.
No. Absolutely not. Hell no.
I didn't say I agree.
I
didn't say I agree.
I know that. Who was him? Who was that guy?
He's one of my boys from back in Ohio.
Oh, we're going to have a discussion. Bring him on the radio show one day. We need to talk to him about his music. Hell no. Not even close. Oh, I'm done.
Yo, when I listened to it the second time, because the first time through, I was kind of like, okay, all right, it's decent. Second time through, I definitely liked it a lot more than the first time. I'm not going to go to say all that because What a Time to Be Alive, that's a classic. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, you can say that definitively. Every song on that track, every song on that project, so hot. And at the time when it came out, you think about how hot Drake and Future were. I mean, that's just such a peak year for them. Yeah, overall, Super Slimy, I'll give it 8 out of 10.
8?
Yeah, I give it 8. 7.5 at the lowest. But
give it a 6.5.
Man, so you're going to put it below Mr. Davis? Gucci's album?
Yeah.
Really?
Because, like I said, if you're gonna do a joint collaboration and the best songs in the album is your solo tracks, I feel like that's a huge issue.
That's true. I see that.
And the way that Future just, the way that the level of performance is such a drastic difference that I can't appreciate it as a collaboration track.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest issue with Holly Grove. That was the 2 Chainz Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people gonna disagree, but I feel like 2 Chainz outperformed Wayne very heavily, so I could not enjoy it as a collab. If I want a collaboration album, I want both artists to be on game.
Mm-hmm.
Gucci's different. It's because even though I said he had a lot of features on that, it was still a Gucci album. He stayed true to himself.
Mm-hmm.
I can at least respect that. This, to me, I'm just going to pick songs that I like and then listen to those. I'm not going to get the whole joint. And the songs that I'm going to pick, they're by themselves. So I can't do it. I can't do it.
I see that. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for us here today. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for all of the support.
Next week, we're going to discuss Rookie of the Year race, MVP race, who you got as your early favorites, NFL, makes upset of the week next week, and more hip-hop news coming through. Your boy, Dee Greatest. I am Dee Greatest. BT, and shout out to Rod, Hot Rod doing this thing, and we're going to do this real nicely in 5, 4, 3, 2.